I'm going to share with you the one change that I made in my wholesaling business that allowed me to save $22,346.17 every single month by changing just one thing. And on top of saving over $22,000 per month inside my wholesaling business, I went from working 40 plus hours a week down to operating my business working just 15 focused hours per week. I'm able to work less, make more money, and enjoy life more. So what was the change that I made inside my wholesaling business? I stopped chasing motivated sellers. So many wholesalers believe that the only way for them to get deals is by chasing motivated sellers, building big, expensive lists, spending thousands of dollars every single month to be able to build these lists and skip trace them, spending hours every single day cold calling and texting and not getting the results that they're hoping for. Now, don't get me wrong, you can still do deals through cold calling and texting, but it's expensive, exhausting, and takes an incredible amount of work to actually get the results that you're hoping for. Now, the good news is there's a much easier way to be able to generate leads. So what I'm going to teach you right now is how we can focus on what works, help you find the right deals for you, and to do this while working less and still creating more profit. So what did I do that changed my wholesaling business, and how was I able to move away from chasing those motivated seller leads? I stopped trying to create deals and I started sorting deals. Now let me explain what I mean here. Instead of spending all day trying to convince homeowners to sell their house, I now spend my day sorting through opportunities that already exist. Now that's a completely different business. I went from a deal creator to a deal sorter, and that's when everything changed for me in my business. And this is why I no longer need a team of people to operate my business. So in the past, I was spending a significant amount of money with an office. I had a team of people that were doing acquisitions for me. I had a team of people that were doing dispositions for me. They were following up with my leads. They were operating a big chunk of the day-to-day business because it was expensive and it was very time-consuming to generate leads and deals the way I was doing it. Let's take a look at the data and what it actually breaks down so we can see exactly what's going on. So the reason why I moved away from the old model of building lists of motivated sellers and then reaching out to those people is that 90% of the people that you're reaching out to have no interest in selling their home right now. So think about it like this. Only 10% of the people that you're reaching out to are even open to hearing an offer. Now, I know that sounds crazy because you're thinking to yourself, well, they're in pre-foreclosure. Of course they need to sell. They owe $20,000 in back taxes. Of course they need to sell. They inherited a property they can't afford. Surely they're motivated to sell, right? Well, think about it like this. When you take that old model of building lists and you're going out and you're trying to find motivated sellers, what happens is you're taking 90% of your time and 90% of your budget and lighting that on fire. Think about that for a second here, because only 10% of those people, when you reach out to them, are even open to hearing an offer. So think about it like this. 90% of your efforts right now are currently being wasted. So before you go try to negotiate with sellers, before you try to analyze those deals, before you're out there trying to make offers, 90% of your time and budget is already wasted. Now here's the crazy part. Most wholesalers don't think that they have a business model problem. They think they have a marketing problem. All they need to do is build better lists, get a better dialer, have better scripts, figure out how to do more cold calling. But the real problem is that only 10% of your efforts is actually reaching people that have any interest in selling their house. And again, most of the people that you reach out to aren't going to have the ability to be able to sell to you at a deep enough discount. So the problem is that you're building a business that's literally built on rejection. And eventually you're going to get fed up, you're going to get burnt out, because making 400 to 600 phone calls a day to get one deal per month is extremely difficult to do. And if you're doing this on your own, it may take you months before you're able to actually get someone that's willing to hear your offer. Now, I don't know about you, but that's going to be too much rejection for me. I'm going to give up and try to look for something that's significantly easier. Because what you have to understand when it comes to the mindset of someone that we're reaching out to on these lists is that motivation alone doesn't create the deal. There has to be timing. There has to be all these other things that build up to get that person to where their motivation is great enough on that day that they're willing to trade their equity for you to be able to solve their problem. So if I'm no longer building lists and cold calling, how am I sourcing my deals? Well, I'm now getting almost all of my deals directly from real estate agents. And these are all off-market deals. Now, before you sigh and think that I've tried real estate agents before, it didn't work, let me share with you exactly why it most likely didn't work and the simple tweak that you can make to your approach that's going to have agents begging you to do deals with them. So many of you watching this have probably tried working with agents before and it didn't go as planned. And that's typical because most wholesalers think that agents are just going to refer properties over to them. They have no interest in referring properties over to you. Also, most of the agents that you're probably reaching out to are not the actual agents that are going to be getting the types of referrals that we're looking for. As you're going to see when I start to break down this data, 75% of agents don't do deals. And if you're networking with broke agents that aren't going to give you referrals, it's not going to work the way that you want. Also, a lot of wholesalers think that agents don't want to work with them. Couldn't be further from the truth. And probably the biggest misconception is that agents aren't going to get off-market deals or that agents are only going to work with retail-ready properties. I get properties every single day directly from agents, and that's an absolute myth that they don't have fixer-upper properties that they can send you that are going to be perfect for your buyers. So if you've tried getting referrals from agents before, if you've had the experience where those agents didn't want to work with wholesalers, or if you thought that agents only had retail-ready properties, that is not the real estate model that we're going to talk about. So let's zoom out and take a look at the housing market and understand what we're going to talk about when we say lead generation and using realtors. So the reason why the data supports this is that 90% of homes that are sold through a realtor. So 90%. So that leaves 10% of homes that are sold off market. Of the 10% of homes that are sold off market, 6% of those are sold for sale by owners, so like Zillow, things like that. So only 4% of houses are sold off market to investors. So if we're building lists of motivated sellers and 90% of those people don't have any interest in selling their home right now, then only 4% of the people on the market do actually sell to agents. That's extremely difficult. So you're spending almost all your time chasing people that don't want to sell so you can compete over 4% of homes that are sold to investors. The odds are stacked against you before you ever pick up the phone. So what did I do that changed everything for my business? Well, again, I was able to eliminate about $22,000 a month in payroll. I no longer had to have acquisitions team, lead managers. I no longer had to have dispositions. I no longer had to have people that were following up or making all my phone calls for me because I became a deal sorter, not a deal chaser. I no longer had the identity that I needed to create the leads because the leads already exist. Now I can just sort those leads and cherry pick the best deals. So here's why the model works so well. Well, the first step is really simple. We choose the agents that we want to work with. Now, think about it like this. Over 75% of agents that have the real estate license don't ever do a single deal. The agents that I choose to work with only make up about 1 to 3% of the agents in your area. These are active agents that have multiple listings at a single time. These are the type of agents that are actually going to be able to refer you those properties on a daily basis. The other reason why this model works so well is because I pay agents their full commission. So I'm not looking at them to send me over leads or deals. There's a very clear expectation that they're going to get paid to be able to send those deals over to me. And I only focus on off-market opportunities. So I'm not trying to get MLS properties or anything like that. We're getting off-market deals directly from agents. So let's take a look at the numbers a little bit deeper of what this actually shakes out like. So when we build lists of active agents in the area, what we see here is that about 80% of the active agents that we reach out to answer the phone. So if we reach out to 10 per day, we're going to talk to 8 of them. And then 30% of those are going to send me a lead right on the spot. So 1 in 3 of the agents that I talk to send me a lead, and then 1 in 40 of those leads converts into a deal. So think about it like this. When you are doing cold calling or texting, 90% of those people have no interest in selling. 100% of the people that we reach out to have already raised their hand and said, I want to sell their house. So we're no longer having that roadblock in our path. Now, the other thing is that we're dealing directly with people that want to sell a house. They want to make the experience great for their client. So those people are going to answer their phone. So we get an 80% contact rate. If you were cold calling, most likely you're going to get a 3 to 5% contact rate. So it would take you basically 100 people to only talk to 3 to 5, where I'm able to talk to 8 out of 10. Now, lead rate, less than 10% of people that you're cold calling are open to hearing an offer. We get 1 in 3 send us a lead right on the spot, and then 1 in 40 of those turns into a deal. So when we're having this type of success rate, what that means is that we only need to have about 5 to 7 conversations per day to get 1 deal a month. Whereas if you're cold calling, you're going to need 400 to 600 conversations per day, or 400 to 600 daily outreaches to get the exact same result, which is 1 deal per month. So again, we want to stop chasing motivated sellers, and we want to build a business to where we're just sorting opportunities. Now, to make this method work much better, you're going to need to understand the entire Vice Method system that I teach. Now, the Vice Method wholesaling system starts with really 4 main steps, and there's a few things that we do before we ever get into lead generation. The very first thing is that we need to validate our market. We do that by making sure our market is good for wholesaling. We also do that by essentially identifying the buyers in our market that are buying deals consistently and paying the most for those deals, and then reverse engineering what those investors are actually looking for. We do this before we ever reach out to a single agent to get us a property, because the very first question that agent is going to have, what are we looking for? So when we have the exact buy box of the buyers that we want to actually find deals for, it's significantly easier to be able to sort those deals. So if you want to see the full Vice Method wholesaling system, right below this video, I've got a link directly to that, to where you can actually watch the full system and see how everything plays together and how I'm using this to be able to work significantly less. Like I said, I went from 40 plus hours a week, now down to working about 10 to 15 hours of focused time every single week. No longer chasing motivated sellers, no longer building big lists, expensive skip tracing and cold calling. What I'm doing right now is just sorting those opportunities to cherry pick the best deals. So if you want to get more information just like this, make sure you subscribe. I'm going to be dropping quite a few videos like this every single week. And if you want to see the entire Vice Method wholesaling system, right below this video, you'll see the direct link. Go ahead and check that out. And also, if you're not already a member of the Vice School community, I'll pop the link below the video for that as well.